Alrighty, hello Cooee crew. For those of you who I haven't met yet, my name is Ricky. I'm currently doing a PhD in surfing performance, and I also have a surfing nutrition business. And so I recently had a chat with your teacher Matt the other day about your urban surf trip, and we had a quick chat, and hopefully I can help you guys with your nutritional plans and your nutrition strategy so that you can make the most of your time and absolutely shred down at the wave pool. So before I start, if you guys have access to the infographic that I sent through, I'm just going to quickly run through some dot points. And if you guys have any questions at all afterwards, feel free to send me a message or whatever down the track. So firstly, nutrition is going to play such an important role in not only how you perform in the water, but also just how you perform in day-to-day life. So if you have poor nutrition, you're going to be lacking energy, lacking concentration, focus, and also your physical ability and your capacities. So we want to fuel our bodies to really perform in everyday life. And despite how confusing nutrition may seem sometimes, there are some really simple and basic rules and guidelines that you guys can use to help your surfing. And that's what we're going to run through today. So if we start with the lunch section on the infographic, I've been told that some of you will be finishing up a surf comp and before you head to the airport. So the most important factors here are going to be as listed. Firstly, consuming real, unprocessed, and whole foods. That's going to be a theme throughout any advice that I give you guys or throughout this whole infographic. We want to make sure that the large majority of food that we're consuming simply wasn't made in a factory and is real, has either grown from the ground or has been alive at some stage. That's just a general rule that we want to try and follow. But with that lunch, what we want to do is we want to repair, refuel, and rehydrate. So to break that down quickly, we want to repair through consuming protein. So protein is going to help us repair the muscle damage that we have from either surfing or whatever exercise that we've done. We want to refuel through carbohydrates. So that's essentially going to restock our energy stores that we've lost when exercising or surfing. And then lastly, we want to rehydrate, and that's through both water and electrolytes. Now, I've included some examples in the infographic, but I'll challenge you guys to jump on Google and look up different options that have certain amounts of protein, carbs, and electrolytes. So I've included some snacks here as well. So after you've had your lunch, and once again, your flight is around lunchtime, so you may have to adjust and have lunch either before or after your flight. Some good snack options will be snacks that are high in protein, high in carbs, and then you'll also you'll want to sip on water just throughout the flight to keep you hydrated. So I've included some snacks there, so things like mixed nuts, any sort of fruits, chalky milks are good, up and goes. If you have access to making a smoothie somehow, they're also great. But those snacks that are high in protein are going to be best for you guys in this case. And so then you guys will settle in at your accommodation, get unpacked, head to Urban Surf, and this is probably when you'll have your next meal. So this will be your pre-surf meal. Now, the most important consideration, regardless of what you're eating, is it must ensure that you're going to feel comfortable in the lineup. So stomach comfort. You want to avoid foods like dairy, foods that are high in protein and fiber. These things are going to sit in your gut and just make you feel really crappy when you're out in the water. So the number one priority with any sort of pre-exercise or pre-surfing nutrition is going to be comfort, essentially. The first macronutrient that we want to consume before surfing is going to be carbohydrates, and specifically we want high GI carbs. So you guys may have heard of high and low GI, and essentially these terms simply mean how quickly sugar enters our body and can be used as a fuel source. So we have a scale from low GI to high GI, and so high GI, high glycemic index, are things like lollies, chocolate, sweets, and even some fruits. Whereas low GI are more things like brown rice, pasta, and veggies. So things that are going to be absorbed much slower. So both play very important roles in performance and recovery, but it's important to have them at the right time. So before surfing, it's okay to have some high GI foods, and that's what we want here. And then lastly, we want to tick off hydration. So once again, keep sipping on water and trying to have some electrolytes. That might be simply through something like a sports drink, because that will also get you some good carbohydrates. So then you guys will have your first surf session from about 4 to 6 p.m. Once again, very jealous. You guys are going to Urban Surf. And then ideally you guys will get home around like 6:30, where you will then have dinner. So this is going to be the first meal that the focus is going to be on recovery. So you guys have a really quick turnaround from your surf at 6 p.m. to your surf early in the morning. So nutrition is going to play a really important role here. So we want to focus on the 3 R's: repair, refuel, and rehydrate. So just like we spoke before, we want to have a meal that is high in protein, high in low GI carbs, and we want to consume water and electrolytes. I've included some amounts there. Once again, have a quick Google to find out how much of a certain food you need to get at least 30 grams of protein or 300 grams of carbs. I've included some examples there. So your go-to protein might simply be steak, chicken, fish, mince, tofu, or even lentils. And then some really good carbs: potato, rice, pasta, and my go-to is veggies. I essentially aim every night with my dinner to just have a massive plate full of veggies, and then I just simply swap out and alternate my protein source. So I might have fish one night, chicken another night, or steak another night. So that's a really easy way you guys can do it. But once again, you'll have to see what access to facilities and stuff and cooking utensils you have at your accommodation. So bear all that in mind when you are also planning your nutritional plan. Now, I've got here in the red, sleep is the most important factor in good recovery. Now, I cannot stress this enough. If you nail all of your nutrition and get poor sleep, your recovery will be compromised the next day. So make sure you get at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep and aim for that 8 hours. It makes such a big difference in recovery. So that means if you guys have a 5 a.m. wake up, which it sounds like you will, that means a sleep by 9 p.m. So try and get to bed, start winding down around 8:30 so that you can be asleep at 9 o'clock. So as we just said, you'll have your wake up around 5 a.m. because your first surf will be around 6 a.m. So once again, you're going to have that pre-surf snack. Now, this is food that most surfers generally struggle with because it reflects most surfs, right? You get up at, let's say, 5, sunrise at 5:30. You don't want to be waiting around, cooking up a big breakfast. You want to jump out there on the lineup, right? So once again, comfort is going to be really important, but we want those high GI, quick absorbing carbohydrates and electrolytes. They're the 2 big main important factors that we want here. And so some examples of that might be for the carbs, you might have a quick banana, an apple, pear, or even a sports drink. And that sports drink will actually get you the good electrolytes you need as well. So that's actually not a bad option. But just bear in mind, if you are having a sports drink, you want to have a 50-50 ratio of sports drink with water, which simply means every time you take a sip of sports drink, you also want to have a sip of water with that. So bear that in mind whenever you're consuming things like Powerades and Gatorades. So that'll lead into your first surf at 6 a.m. You'll then have a 1 hour break. Now, that's not a whole lot of time. You'll probably want to re-wax up your board, maybe change equipment. So I would recommend trying to smash in at least 1 to 2 pieces of fruit just to top up those energy stores through carbohydrates. And then also having some more sips of the sports drink, which will also get you those good electrolytes again. And then you'll go straight into your next session at 8 a.m. And then after those 2 surfs, you'll then actually have time for your proper breakfast. And so once again, with the breakfast, you want to tick off the same 3 R's. So refuel, rehydrate, and repair. So we have protein, carbs, water, and electrolytes. Hopefully you're picking up on a bit of a theme here. There's nothing groundbreaking that you need to change between each meal. Simply sticking to that really simple and basic structure is going to nail the basics for your recovery here. So making sure you tick off all that with your breakfast. And then once again, repeating that for your dinner as well. So getting some good protein in, at least 30 grams. Getting some good carbohydrates in, because you guys will be expending a lot of that when you're shredding out in the lineup. And then drinking plenty of water that next day to rehydrate as well. So in summary, before surfing, we want to eat for comfort, we want to consume high GI carbs, and we want to ensure hydration through water and electrolytes. And after surfing, we want to repair through our protein consumption. We need to refuel through low GI carbohydrates, and we want to rehydrate through water and electrolytes. So I hope that helps. The last thing I want to touch on is the practicality of nutrition when you're traveling. It's super important to consider the accessibility of food and the practicality of the choices that you have in food when you're traveling. So ask yourselves the questions, what can you take in your luggage? What can you actually cook while you're away? And what will you have access to buy? What sort of stores can you visit when you're down there? Because they will all influence the choices in food that you can essentially make when you're away on a trip. So I hope that helps. If you guys want any more information, I've done a lot of posts that dive into all of what we've spoken about. It breaks it down even more. And all of that can be found on our Instagram page at Surf Science with a little underscore. Feel free to send me a message or even give me a call on there if you have some last minute questions before you go down. I'm happy to help in any way that I can. So I hope you guys have an awesome trip. Hope you all get some sick waves. And most importantly, have fun. So I'll hope to meet you guys soon. See ya.